here we have our next demo, bubbling away. This has some chunks of dry ice in a graduated cylinder that has some water in it. So adding another chunk to keep it going. Make sure you can see it down there. And now, as cool as this might be on like Halloween and such, we can't really see what's happening when we're combining this CO2, which is the chemical formula for dry ice. Remember, it's not normal H2O ice. And we're combining this with water. Sometimes it's hard to see what's happening to it. So we're going to use something called an indicator, which is just another chemical that helps indicate what's happening to our reaction. And this specific indicator is what we call universal indicator, and it changes every color of the rainbow based on the pH of the substance that it's being added to. So right now, this solution starts off as a kind of greenish color, which means that it's neutral, right around 7, the middle of our pH scale. And when we add drops to this substance that we are forming in our graduated cylinder, you can tell it's starting to change color. I'll add a little more to make it more obvious. But this water is no longer neutral. This water, after it's been combined with the dry ice, is more of a pH 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4, depending on the exact shade of red, orange we've got here. So you wouldn't expect me to add this greenish universal indicator to our clear water and get red. You'd probably expect kind of a lighter green color, but that would only be if this was something like food coloring I was adding to the water. But because there is something changing in our water, that's causing my indicator to change as well. So this is what I want you to be observing, writing your observations of. What I did want to show you is, the other side of these colors that we can get. So I prepared a base here that should force our colors to change in the other direction. So there we go. You can see right at the top when I add that base, it turns very, very purple. But then as it mixes in with the rest of our water, it kind of averages out. It's canceling out that acid a little bit, but the acid is still bubbling in there. So you can tell this is turning back to orange, and eventually it'd probably get back to that same red. But let's keep adding some of this base. Okay. Oh, it was neutral, but then it bubbled in there for long enough that the dry ice changed that water some more. Add even more. Try and get the whole thing purple. There we go. All purple. Wait, now it's kind of bluish and then kind of greenish again. And the longer that we observe it with that dry ice bubbling in there, oh, we're back to yellow. At least a yellowish green. And if we keep watching this for long enough, we'll see it turn back to red. So turning this word equation into a chemical equation, we're going to start off with carbon dioxide, which, if we notice that prefix di in there, meaning 2, reminds us this is a covalent compound, so it doesn't matter what charges anything has. As soon as we see a prefix in that compound's name, we just follow the prefixes. So carbon is C. We always find the symbol and then put the number of the prefix on that symbol. Carbon doesn't have a prefix, so we're not going to put a number on it. There's just one carbon. We don't even need to write the 1 when we put it in there. Then dioxide means we have 2 oxygens. This is probably a pretty familiar compound and formula, but it does bear practicing with, and it is a good example of a good covalent name to turn into a formula. Now, we took this dry ice, this solid carbon dioxide, and combined it, dropped it into that big graduated cylinder of water. So the next thing in our equation is going to be plus H2O, and it just bubbled away, and we couldn't see this forming, but it was there, and we could tell it was there because we had added that universal indicator, and it turned red to indicate that there was an acid present in that graduated cylinder. And this acid just happens to be carbonic acid, H2CO3. So that's our chemical equation. Now just take a look at it, make sure it's balanced, and get it written on your paper.